So we're at 7 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started, and we'll begin with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So, have kind of an unusual situation where we have less than a quorum for the meeting today. So what we would like to do in the absence of having a full quorum is take the time to hear from the applicant. We received a lot of materials from the last time that we were together as a group, which we were just discussing. I think it was probably back in December before the current calendar year. And there are some things within the documents that we were shared, the site approval, the renderings, as well as the SWIP that are new to some of the members of the board or may have had changes from things that we've seen last. So would like to take the time to allow the applicant to present some of what might be different and what might have changed from the last time that we heard from them.
Yeah, and legal and engineering are interested in the project, so sort of like a work session, we thought we'd move forward. And apologies, James was supposed to be here, but he got stuck at the last minute at an airport, so apologize for that. Okay.
All right, so within the site development plan application, when I was reviewing that, one of the things that I took note of was a difference in the amount of units from the previous time that we had heard from the applicant. And I'm curious just to maybe understand a little bit of the change that might have impacted that, a reduction in units as well as a slight reduction in parking.
See everyone again. I'm Steve Brightsco, landscape architect at EDR. Well, we have access to the screen by chance?
Well, that's another problem, Mark. I mean, that our same person, they're both stuck at the airport.
Gotcha, okay.
So
That's
we
okay.
we really got stuck here.
I didn't bring a
So
big board. I
sorry.
brought a
Yeah.
site rendering.
Yeah.
I know people like to see it in color typically, so.
Thank you.
I brought extras, but okay.
Just put one right here, and then if you could pass
Sure.
out to people who are here, that would be great.
So that is one of the changes that we made. So we've gone down to 252 units across 6 buildings now. So we have 4 buildings, with 44 units, and then 2 buildings with 38 units. So we have a larger building, and then we're calling it a medium building because it's slightly smaller. So 6 buildings now across the site. They're in a similar arrangement to how we had them previously. Still trying to maintain that orientation where we're limiting a cut through from Salina to Genesee Street, promoting more of a walkable environment across the entire site. Throughout that, we have 466 parking spaces, 422, I'm sorry, total. And that includes lot parking, garage parking, and parallel surface parking also. So it gives us a very similar ratio, 1.7, 1.67 versus 1.7 where we were with the seeker. So very similar to that. We've added some site amenities as well. We have space for a playground north of the community building, open space there, and then we have a dog park also over, space reserved for that over by Salina Street. We're maintaining the wetland area as much space as we can along the north side. And then also as that cuts through the site, through the open space, the center green by the community building, we're maintaining wetland area through there as well. So that drainage pattern will remain. We are adding a road over the top of it where we will have 2 culverts connecting the wetland portions, but we're maintaining that drainage pattern all the way to the southern end of the site toward the railroad track there. We are going to buffer the wetland area, so it will remain in a natural state. We're not going to disturb the portion that is to remain, but we are going to buffer it in the central green with shrubs and trees that are formal on the outside and then less formal as you move into the wetland area. That will reinforce the bank there. We're trying to preserve as much flat space as we can north of the community building, just to promote that outdoor space for the playground. But we are faced with some grading challenges there, so we do have a bank that we'll plant with wetland plant materials to reinforce that palette. And then along the north side of the site where we've got the other wetland, we're adding to that plant material as well with a dense palette of evergreen and deciduous trees, as well as an understory of meadow grasses and then a mid-story level of shrubs to promote that 50-foot buffer that we have between our garages and the backyards along Curtis Avenue there. From a stormwater perspective, again, we're maintaining that drainage pattern where everything is going to the southern end of the site toward the railroad track. So that's where the bulk of our stormwater capacity is located. You can see that large green space there near the railroad tracks, and then it will daylight to the railroad as it does today.
Do you have the last, after we did the seeker, the last plan?
I didn't bring the last plan.
Okay.
Do you have a particular question?
No, I just wanted to, I think it's important for comparison for the board. And I know this is substantially different, I can't get on the internet.
So we eliminated the building.
The smallest building, a 15-unit building. So there was a building here. That one removed as well as
Down in the corner here.
Yes, right there.
And I was kind of curious, one of the things that was raised at the public hearing was there's a gentleman who had a home in his family that was kind of down in that corner. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if that drove a little bit of the change there from an access perspective.
So the smaller building that we did have could have fit there, but we decided to change the unit mix a little bit. We have more 1-bedrooms and 2s so that we were able to condense the buildings a little bit.
Were there any other, I know that Jamie was trying to find the other copy, but were there any other notable differences? That was the main thing that jumped out to me was the unit change. Now I obviously see the building
One less
change.
building, yeah.
And then there was a garage, covered garage, I think, in one of the previous renderings, in that same kind of vicinity, I think.
When we had the corner property there, we had
Yeah.
a garage extending along that parking lot as well. We had this. So this is the December. So this was the smallest building here, 15 units and a parking lot there. And then we removed that. We did make this connection here. You can see so we did add parking there just to keep our ratio similar at that 1.7. But this is just being reserved as open space now. Correct.
Okay.
And you added a playground.
We did. We added the playground
dog.
near the clubhouse and then the dog park off of Salina Street there as well. But otherwise, the orientation of it remained the same with the buildings and the streets.
What's the purpose of the community building? Is it for just who's ever in here? I know you changed the name from Clubhouse.
Yeah, it serves as a community amenity. There's a gym in it, right, Charlie?
Yeah, there's a gym, there's a community room, there's offices, leasing office, maintenance office, and I think we have kind of a pub, which is a hangout space. It's roughly 5,000 square feet.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's not gonna be open to the public.
So I know like another concern that we had heard previously was a little bit of what you touched on in terms of stormwater management. So this shift, does this allow for better management of stormwater by changing the impervious cover? By having,
reducing it?
Yeah, by having less or,
It gives us more room for storage and for the stormwater, but over the entire site, it's not that significant.
okay.
It is a reduction though in the impervious.
So it looks like the fire department hasn't looked at the turning radiuses yet, or because I know on Greg's notes here, it says fire department should be contacted and provided with a set of plans for their review and comment, so that's still up in the air as far as the fire trucks being able to turn around and stuff.
We still need to meet with
Okay,
them,
gotcha.
yes. If that's not part of this process through the planning board, we can set up a meeting with them separately. We are planning on their access through, though we do have 26-foot wide roads for access through the site.
Brody, can you talk about what's going on the Route 31 side with the lots and what you own? And is there a re-subdivision or anything down here?
You're talking on the East Jesse Street side
Right,
about the Beeville Supply?
like the lots and what's,
Yeah, because weren't you trying to buy some and then,
You're talking about the Beeville Supply, the line there?
yes,
Yeah, we're in the process of, we're gonna give them some land to get a little bit back. So what they're gonna end up having is a little more space. Here, I can show you, Jamie.
yeah, well, I guess that, well, it's hard here, it would have to be seeing the lots. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
yeah, on the side, on the left
They're
side?
actually getting this space right
Yeah,
here.
how that's right.
Yeah, for our road from now, it's a swap. Swap. It's basically a lot line adjustment. It's gonna make this straight instead of jagged. We're getting this, and they're coming up there.
Yeah.
I think we're good on that side. I don't think we have an issue there. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
So you can see.
Why you're not taking it?
Oh, I see.
We're looking at before.
So this
I'll
would
look into
push,
that. I don't want to tell you the
Oh,
wrong
okay.
thing.
Yeah,
I think
so if we are.
That's where we're at. Gotcha.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
Additionally, I know we were presented with a draft of the SWIP. And Greg, just a question, I know from some notes from December, at a later date, there'd be like a more detailed review from our perspective of that plan. Is that still a bit in front of us before we get to like a
We
more
are in the
thorough?
middle of reviewing the slip right now.
Okay.
It's extensive. So by next meeting, or before next meeting, I'll have comments.
Okay,
And we'll probably have to sit down with them on any technical issues that might need to be worked out. One of the things that, some things are gonna maybe change as you're looking at the site. One of the things that was brought up in our memo is that there's 3 garages that are on the site. We'd like them to have a little space in between the drive aisle and the garages, at say a minimum of 5 feet. And I think it's something that the board may want to consider as far as maybe, encroaching on that 50-foot setback that is shown on the north side there. By maybe 5 or a little bit more, just to give some space there for safety reasons. I mean, they're garages, they're low level. You know, I don't think they're kind of a buffer in their own way. So we're just a little worried about safety there, just putting out the garages. And other than that, I mean, we're getting deep in the review of these, but there's some little grading things, some questions on what they're doing in certain areas, but more engineering-based type stuff than other.
Is like the snow removal part of that, like where, do you have like designated snow removal areas? Cause it's kind of like a tricky formation, I feel like, in the winter. Kind of push it where, I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't done a specific plan
Okay.
of snow storage, but we do have areas on the site
Okay.
that are remaining open. So
Like,
yeah, on the south
Okay.
side, that's open. You know, we have trees, obviously, we want to promote that streetscape.
Yep.
But I think it would have to be developed, you know,
Yeah.
how the best places to store it.
Okay.
A couple specific areas that were acknowledged as having drainage issues by local residents. And you touched on a little bit of that wetland area and how the water would flow through that central green area and then down to the stormwater management area. But the two community members that we heard from were adjacent to, I think, 2 Curtis, so up in that northeast corner, as well as down 76 Genesee, which I think is kind of bordering along the CSX railway. How would the water management be addressed specifically in those areas?
So it's keeping that same pattern. It's entering the site on that north side and going through the wetland area, and then we have 2 culverts that are sized appropriately to maintain that volume of water coming through and then on into the open space in the center.
Will that kind of like in that top left corner of the rendering? Other left. I guess I'm on the opposite side. Yeah. Joanna's got it. So will that address the drainage issues that those residents had raised? Because we did hear specifically that there were issues in that area too.
That water is backing on that side? Okay.
Yeah. Yes. There and then I guess direct from my perspective down from that area, but from yours up. Yeah. In this corner over here.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I guess more like on this side of the property, because a lot of what we're hearing was about the
Right,
management
right.
here, but will we be able to address that side too?
We can take a specific look at that grading in there. We were only modifying it to that garage to maintain space for that. But we can look at how we're grading that particular corner. We're landscaping it now. I don't remember off the top of my head if that's a berm there. I know there is a berm further to the east, past the pedestrian connection. But we can take a closer look at the specific drainage pattern there.
Can we take a look at architecture?
Andrew Schizzer's there.
Andrew,
I do.
excellent.
I don't have a set of lines on me.
Okay.
But I have a good, I can.
Yeah, here we go. Let's take a look.
Where would you like to start?
Where would I love to start? How about just the rendering?
Sure. So the design is broadly the same as so the design is broadly the same as what you've seen to date.
Okay.
A couple of the widths of some of the bays with solid areas are a little wider to accommodate some living spaces. They're mostly balconies that are inset into the building, except for the corners to keep it open, so it's a column and an open space at the corners. We brought the masonry up to the second story in some of the areas just to give it a little bit more mass. and to give it a little bit more, make it a little bit more polished. And then, the general design of it is pretty consistently residential character, trying to keep within a residential scale, break the massing down as much as we can to keep these buildings looking too big. And then the entries we kept kind of quiet, and they're just a covered entry to kind of call attention to it. It's a good place to go in. But for the most part, it's keeping the same architectural language.
Before, we had some different colors to kind of break up the colors of the buildings. I only see the green and brown, but I remember there being like some blues and grays.
We had different options, and this was the one that I
Gotcha.
think was.
I thought it was still like some different colors to break it up, but it's been a while, so.
Yeah, these are the option, this color palette that was selected previously.
And do you have the rendering of the clubhouse too? We'd be able to take a look at
I don't know if they included a rendering in the clubhouse actually. But this is the last sheet.
it. Maybe we have it in ours.
Pretty much.
So we have renderings actually in the clubhouse elevation sheet. So the clubhouse uses the same color palette. Sure. So the clubhouse uses the same color palette as the buildings, same materials, and we has a little bit more decorative trim work to make it contrast with the buildings a little bit more. And it's got a bit of a lodge feel to it, to kind of feel like that gathering space, warm it up, be something that is really for the community, kind of that community living room. And so we took a lot of the language from, the Adirondacks and kind of more like lodge type buildings that are a little bit more welcoming than just the typical residential architecture of the apartment buildings.
So I don't see any reason why we wouldn't go ahead and get this referred over to the Architectural Control Committee sooner rather than later, because things are looking like they're coming along quite well, and even if something should change on layout, I think the basic architectural is something that we would like them to look at it sooner rather than later, maybe even before our next meeting. So hopefully, when somebody gets back from where they are, that we can refer and get a meeting. So Michelle will orchestrate that and get it over as soon as possible.
Jamie, can we do that administratively without a formal vote to refer it?
Yes.
I would think, okay.
Any other questions on that?
And I will send that now.
Any other questions for me?
I don't have any more, thank you. Thanks for walking us through that.
Yeah, no problem.
Can I ask a couple general questions on the project?
Yeah, that's fine.
I think so.
We're kind
Yeah.
of in an informal work session, so I think that's fine.
Just curious on the pedestrian connection, pedestrian connection to Curtis Avenue. Was there ever a residence where that is, or is it cut in between two, and was that lot always owned by the Jardine Company or whoever the property was bought from before?
I don't know the history of that particular lot. As long as I've known it, it's been vacant. I don't know if historically there was something there at one point in time.
Okay. And were these apartments always for just general public use, or are they for seniors, your marked for seniors? Or?
I believe they were market rate, right?
Margaret, yeah, so it's for the public.
And my understanding too is like maybe a previous iteration in the past that was proposed may have been more geared in that direction, which is a little bit different than this project that we are having proposed to us now.
Okay.
The previous proposal years ago.
Yeah, my parents live on Curtis, that's one of the reasons I was asking, because he said something that he thought was gonna be a senior geared, so, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I have two questions. One is the wetlands that's in the community. How is that attached to the other wetland? Because wetlands can't live in a vacuum.
So the water's coming onto the site at that north property line, so the backyard of the Curtis Ave. And there's a collection point there, and then it's continuing south through the site.
I thought it was through a culvert.
It is that existing condition, it's moving its way through the site.
Right.
We're maintaining that same pattern now, we're maintaining that northern wetland, and then we're adding culverts because we have to cross the wetland with the road.
But how is it connected? Like the culvert doesn't mean it's accessible. It's not the same conditions as the wetlands.
Correct. So we're removing a portion of the wetlands. We
Right,
have to
but
install.
you're isolating it. It's like me going to the Seneca River with a jar and saying, I saved the river.
The
It's-
water is still flowing through the culverts though, and
How?
south through the
They have
But
site.
how's it gonna
They have a
access
natural
up?
bottom as the part of
How is it
They
gonna
have a
access
natural
the
bottom.
upper?
Yeah,
it. So
right, the culverts have a natural bottom to them. And so the water it will collect in that northern area and flow through the culverts into the maintained wetland in that center green space.
Okay. And then the second question I have is, the boundary was remediated. It was a Superfund site, and the soil was remediated. Are you digging into the remediation?
Yeah, there was no cap on it.
So are you going to dig into the remediation? Are you going to be tossing toxins up into the air?
No. No contaminated soil condition.
Yeah, so there's no contaminated soil condition there.
Yeah, there is. It's been remediated.
Remediated means clean.
That means it was removed.
It was removed.
They tested it.
It was removed
Yeah.
because it was the 90s.
Right.
And they weren't, their idea of remediation in the 90s was just cover it with more soil and put a concrete over it maybe. It's not like remediation today.
I believe you guys did a soil sample, didn't you?
Yeah, the
But how
soil,
far did you go?
the soil conditions have to comply with the DEC thresholds for
how far did
residential
you go?
development. And
Yeah, I mean, I do, that question was raised at the town hall that we had. And it was also addressed, I think, when we met in December at the secret process. And there was a couple studies that were referenced, one in 1979, I think one in 1986 as well, that they met requirements at those point in time when those studies were done as well. And as Brody had shared, this project would have to comply with any DEC regulations associated with that too. So every step of that process, or when that stuff has been, when that soil has been tested, it's met those requirements.
It doesn't answer my question though. Are you digging into the remediated areas?
We'll be excavating for the foundations.
Yeah. So if there's a cluster, then y'all are going to be accountable for that.
So I can, if it's helpful to the board, I can give you a few sentences from that. So CHA completed a full phase one in 2024. The assessment revealed no recognized environmental conditions or controlled recognized environmental conditions in connection with the property. We also did the applicant also arranged for a phase two subsurface investigation in March 2024. The portion of the property that was used as the foundry, known as Jardine Bronze, et cetera, gave history about that. The Phase 2 revealed the presence of only small amounts of metals that do not exceed any thresholds. So the plan the engineers recommend a plan in place to address groundwater that is encountered that may have an issue, but there's no requirement to do any additional soil removal because there's no exceedances, there's no contaminated conditions. So that was in your neg deck resolution. You referenced portions of those reports. There were two large reports that were generated in 2024 to address that issue.
Thank you.
Still doesn't answer my question.
All right. A question that I have, this is related to a little bit of what I saw in the SWIP, and this is just maybe for the board's understanding. And this is specific to water quantity treatment analysis. And based off of how I've read that, the peak water flow prior to construction would be higher than the peak water flow post-construction. How does that play into the stormwater water management piece? Is that indicating for those that live in the surrounding areas that water flow will be reduced, so it will be retained on the property better, rather than just flowing outwardly to the CSX area?
I can answer that.
Sure.
My name's Tom Dussing. I'm with EDR. I'm a civil engineer. We're conveying the water through the site where the wetland is, and that's going to continue all the way through the site. The areas of the site are going to be collected and taken to infiltration basins. So some of it's going to go into groundwater, and then part of it will flow into that center channel and then go the direction that it's always gone to the railroad property.
All right, is there any other questions from the board to the applicants?
At this point.
So there were some suggestions, I think from our engineer that wanted to talk about, and one of them was the setback of the garages. Do you see that? Okay.
Yep.
Do you want to bring that one up, Chris?
So this would be, and Greg touched on it a little bit earlier too, but a consideration for us regarding a smaller setback to push the garages 5 feet back within that area that was previously set out as 50 feet from the property line to that garage line. So I guess a question related to that is, that would be specific to the 2 garages that are on the, I guess it would be the east side of the property that border Curtis, just those 2, or would that apply to the 3rd garage that's,
Third garage
so it
also.
would be for all of
Yeah,
those
all three.
garages?
The Curtis Ave one had the bigger setback than the other one, but it's also the most sensitive area because of the residences there. But there is limited disturbance behind that, and there's gonna be some heavy plantings back there. And the garages are low, it's not like they're the 3-story ones, so I think it's something the board should consider as a trade-off, you know, with safety and, you know, and You can call it encroachment, but 5 feet is pretty small.
Yeah.
And that would help to reduce the risk of people driving out, backing out of the garages or pulling out of the garages and not having
Yeah.
enough space to do that safely.
Because what's the space now between like the horizontal or vertical parking and like the garage? What, do we know? 0. Oh, okay, all right, well. I was gonna say, that looks like about a car length, so.
What are these small buildings that are to the left and right of the garages? Some are
Dumpster enclosure.
Dumpster.
Yeah.
So, I think one of the, just from a procedural standpoint, we'll get this off to the county again for the site plan review portion of the show. Greg is gonna be giving more thorough engineering comments, including SWIFT. We're gonna send this to the ARB right away, try to get it, before the next meeting, and see how much we can get done before the next meeting, and, give it all another thorough review. Greg, you're gonna try to get comments to both to this board and to the applicant on specific things. Rhodey, anything else that is on your mind procedurally?
No,
Okay.
I think that's fine. If you want to do that referral for the architectural review, we can do that at the same time.
Well, we'll do, I have already sent it off to Michelle, right where I'm sitting here,
Yep.
saying to go ahead and get it to the ARB,
Okay.
because it's part of our procedure, it doesn't need specifically a referral from this board, so we'll consider it on its way there administratively.
Is it the same process, Jamie, for the fire department? Do you refer us to that, or do we set that up independently?
Should we just
Yeah, I
pick up
mean,
the
it
phone
doesn't-
and call them?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we should pick up the phone and call them.
Exactly.
Jamie, should we do the subdivision at the same time as the site plan for county review?
So I think it's just a lot line adjustment. Is it a subdivision?
I can talk to, I know every municipality has a different
Right.
threshold for what it is. It's probably a subdivision, but if we could do it
Is
with
it
a lot.
creating a new lot?
No,
Then it's not a subdivision.
Okay.
Under this code, so.
Yeah, we're we're merging 3 or so lots into
Right.
one lot.
So we'll look at it as part of this review, and, and then as part of, I think, our resolution and recommendation, that the lot line adjustment will be then administratively handled, because that's how we do lot line adjustments
that'd be excellent.
here.
Don't
But it
we-
should be part of what we're doing here, but it's not gonna be a separate referral or a separate application.
But isn't that just one component of the subdivision? We have 3 or 4 tax parcels that,
You're just consolidating them. So am I right about that?
yes. And then we have the lot line adjustment would be those 5.
Let's look at that. Can we look at that
Sure.
before we go? Just that-
Oh, do we have a re-subdivision?
Well, not really subdivision map, but do you have something that shows all the lots?
So I think what they're doing.
Yeah. Probably.
Okay.
This piece here. Getting ready So they're gonna take that. This I can wait till it's the property line.
We're not, I just confirmed, we're not necking it there, but what's happening here is this, we're getting this, and we're giving them that, exactly.
Okay.
And then John, so they understand this. You talk to architects.
The photometric ones are interesting, but they're hard to take in.
Here, and there's here, a little bit. And so if you combine them.
This also is,
Right.
Do they have the lighting and stuff in here? Or the-
There is a couple
But this is-
pages,
But this is
like page
part of
E, yeah,
this.
this is one, yeah, so it takes a minute to kind of
Yeah,
like
it's
digest.
just like.
So this, which is now
Does
part
his
of
lighting
this,
number
will become part of this, and this is now part of
Yeah, I
this.
think it's like, the higher the number, the
So
more
if you
light
could
it's
just
getting.
prepare the map,
Yep,
and we'll take it up as part of this procedure,
that'd be great.
okay?
That'd be, thank you, first.
Then Jane, how does a PDD get to the town?
So when everything has happened here, then we'll send it back and it'll be finalized.
It's kind of 2-for-1 here, where the site plan is sort of done, and
Yes.
then the district plan gets approved after the site plan's essentially done.
Right.
Just kind of, yeah. Yeah,
You've
it's got,
got an area of
No, it's just,
Yes.
I mean,
it's got options anyways.
they just wanted the dog park.
They're all different.
Yep.
Yeah, so this gets completely done, so we're talking about procedure to send it back to the village board for its final, this is it.
Yeah, so they'll have already done their site
Yes.
plan decision by the time we go back.
You're not asked to.
It'll be completely done.
Right, okay.
And when it goes to the village board, they likewise would have a public hearing, similar to how we had our public hearing
They are
in
gonna have
December.
a
So
final
they'll
public
have a
hearing.
public hearing as well, so there would be
Yes.
another one.
So that's why we'd like to move this process through, because it's got more to do. But yes, the opposite. I don't know which is better, we'll have to discuss that.
They're both fine.
I have a question on the lighting, if you don't mind.
Not me.
The playground, is that gonna be closed off at night? Like, is that fenced in? Cause it has very low, it has low lighting. And how about the dog park? Is that the
Yeah,
same
those are
sort? Okay.
fences.
Yeah, that solves the low lighting question.
Yeah, but there's no lights over by the dog park, like, or is
It'll be
that?
closed off at
Oh,
night.
right, oh, so it closes at like 9 or something?
Dawn at dusk.
Okay, gotcha. I was in Toronto last week and the dog park had dogs out at 3 AM, so no 3 AM dogs at this one. And the trash units, are those enclosed with like a fence or?
Yep, it hasn't been detailed yet, but it's
Okay.
an enclosure with
Okay.
gates.
One thing that just jumped into mind is thinking about that border along the railway. I do remember a gentleman who was at the public hearing who expressed a concern for safety along that area. And we didn't really kind of tease it out at that point in time. Would there be any plan to have a fence or some kind of buffering prior to getting to where the train track is on the, I guess that's the western side of the property?
Right. We don't show anything now for a fence there.
I mean, they're two large detention basins that, at least in that area, you'd have to cross to get into trouble.
Yeah.
To look at the grade.
Yeah.
Some of it's
Right.
All right, so Jamie, I know you outlined a few items that stand in front of us as well as the applicant. Is there any other items that we would like to address or discuss today with our limited?
I mean, I think we're
Team.
doing well from our standpoint, from Greg's and my standpoint. I think it's moving appropriately.
Okay. All right. That being said, I think motion to wrap the meeting would be appropriate at this point. So, well, do we even need to do that since we don't have a quorum?
Well, we'll say it anyway.
We'll do it out of tradition.
Yeah.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make the motion to close the meeting.
Okay.
I'll second.
Jerry, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.